You've already been working with regular verbs in the present tense that end in AR and that end in ER and IR. And you have already been introduced to some irregular verbs such as the verb ser, estar, ir, tener. And all of those verbs go through different irregularities. Today we're going to start practicing with more verbs that have a stem change irregularity in its structure. So verbs that still end in AR are still going to have the same endings. ERs are still going to have the same endings. IRs are going to have the same endings that you have learned. What we're going to do now is that we're going to add an extra change in one of those vowels. First, we're going to start seeing verbs that move from E to IE. That means that the letter E before that AR, ER, or IR ending is going to change in all forms except the nosotros form. So for example, the verb pensar, to think, will now be conjugated in the present tense as pienso, piensas, piensa, pensamos, piensan. Note that we are going through an IE change in all of the forms except the nosotros form. I like calling these boot verbs. I'm a visual person, so I can see here the shape of a boot if I think about this area here. So that goes in the shape of a boot. That tells me that it will change to an IE wherever it's in the boot, not in the nosotros form. And if we were to be practicing the vosotros, it would not be doing that in the vosotros form. The same thing happens with other verbs when they change their O to a UE. Again, we're going to change that O right before that AR, ER, or IR ending. So the verb dormir, to sleep, would be duermo, duermes, duerme, dormimos, duermen. You are seeing that same change inside the boot. It is not undergoing that change outside of that boot. Like I said, the boot is in all forms except the nosotros. Hopefully you can see on your screen the shape of the boot in the way that I write out the verbs. But if, for example, we have a verb such as the verb preferir, which means to prefer, we have two E's there. Which E are we going to change into an IE? It's going to be the one that is right before that AR, ER, or IR ending. So that's why I am going to conjugate this verb as prefiero, prefieres, prefiere, preferimos, prefieren. Again, the change is in that vowel that is right before that ending. We also have verbs that change from E to I. Instead of changing from E to IE, they will only change from E to I. So the verb servir will become sirvo, sirves, sirve, servimos, sirven. Again, we are changing that E to an I in all of the forms except in the nosotros form. Keeping the same idea that we're making that change inside the boot. you have to memorize which verbs are the ones that do this. Every time you're introduced to new vocabulary, oftentimes you see a little EIE right next to the verb. So for example, with the verb preferir, oftentimes when it is first introduced, it says IE next to it. That means that it's changing, it's E to IE. Or with the verb servir, you see a little I next to it. That means it's going to be going from an E to an I. That is a reason for those parentheses that you often see in dictionaries, etc. I hope this helps you to figure out when it is that you are modifying these verbs. But remember, you have to know which verbs undergo this change. Best way is to continue practicing with the verbs that you are given in the chapter.